Hey everyone, I'm Kevin.
And I'm team member Jenn.
And I am associate team member and board of directors member David Maloney.
And today we are going to tap on your many years of expertise in animal welfare. And David, you've been on multiple pet rescues, and we're going to talk about dog safety while we take our beloved animals outdoors. And we wanted our teammate Brian Stevenson to be on the show because we recently had a big rescue that involved a adorable little puppy named Buddy. The puppy was missing for 4 days and fell off a 65-foot cliff. And Brian lowered down with the help of the team and got him. And did you all see the joy on the dog owner's face? And what wasn't that wonderful?
It was incredible to see not only the owner's sheer relief, but you could tell the dog's sheer relief as well when they were rescued. So it's just a really good reminder of why we do this kind of work.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's, that is why we do what we do. That is the amazing part of it. And, the rewarding part of what we do, Kevin, is to see, loved ones reunited with each other at the end and a successful rescue at the end. It's always great to see that.
Yeah, and I do think about how scared the puppy must have been 4 days, wondering if someone was going to come. So what a great outcome and what a good feeling everyone had. And thank you to Brian. He couldn't be here because he's traveling, but what a great job that he did. So as you know, we're in the middle of summer. It's felt like an oven on many days. It's been a little cooler lately, but I think we're in for more of the same. Mm-hmm. You've both been on multiple rescues where a dog was overheating. And tell us what signs do you look for that a dog may be in trouble?
I can tell you a few that I look for. I was actually out on a trail yesterday, and I was keeping close attention to not only the temperature, but the humidity in the air as well. So I was checking my dog for any shade-seeking behavior, but I was smart enough to choose a trail that was mostly shaded, so that's something that you can do in advance. But I was also monitoring her for a heavy, wide mouth panting where the tongue completely hangs out and looks darker than normal, maybe even slightly purple. That's something that you can look out for. And then their saliva, their drool gets extra thick and goopy and rope-like when they're starting to become overheated. And the glassy eyes and the lagging behind or sitting a lot down, sitting on the trail where you're going.
Yeah. David, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, those are all good points. Those are the things you want to look for. That I've seen over the years, with the dog exhaustion and stuff and overheating, is, them getting, panting more, and their saliva getting thick, and just, them getting sluggish and not being outgoing like they were earlier on in the trail and earlier on in the day.
Yeah. Well, last year, if you recall, Jenn, you were on a really unforgettable rescue of a Rottweiler on Swift Camp Creek Trail. And this dog had a pre-existing medical condition, but overheating was going on too. Can you tell us what happened?
Sure. The dog was a extra large breed. She was a Rottweiler, about 90 pounds, and like you said, with a pre-existing condition. And the owner just accidentally missed a turn, which can happen to anybody. And he ended up on a lot far longer, more rugged backcountry stretch.
Yeah, that can happen easy there.
Very easily.
Yeah.
So combined with the high heat, high humidity, the dog system just kind of started to shut down. So the owner was super smart and made a makeshift shade canopy, which bought some time for the rescuers to get out there to them. And it was a really hard climb. Honestly, I didn't get there until a little bit later, so I didn't have to do the hard part. And we did have our partners from Powell County come out to help switch out people that were carrying the dog out. So it was pretty intense, but everybody came out okay, and the owner was so grateful for the help.
Yeah.
The dog was so nice too.
I believe, didn't this involve a 4-mile hike?
Yeah.
In
rugged terrain, and they ended up putting the dog in the Stokes basket and wheeling her out.
Can you explain this? What is the Stokes basket?
Yeah, it's kind of what you think of when you see of people in movies and stuff, you kind of see people getting put into the big long stretcher thing that kind of looks like a basket. We actually have one that you can put on a wheel to wheel through some of the terrain, but it's basically a stiff, safe way to carry someone out.
Yeah. Yeah. And it had a happy ending.
It had a really happy ending. They're doing great. And like I said, the owner was so grateful, and that we were just really lucky that the dog was really sweet, and she didn't fight at all getting in the Stokes basket or anything like that.
I wonder if you could both comment, what are a couple things we can bring to help our pets, our dogs, if they get in trouble like the Rottweiler? What can we pack in our pack extra to help them out?
You definitely want to bring extra water, and because of the way dogs, express heat, if you can pack a portable fan, that's going to be really helpful for them. Emergency shade in case you are somewhere that you can't create any shade, so whether that's a little tarp or something like that you can throw up and get some shade going. And of course, I'll let Dave. I'll let David talk about how much water to pack in for your dog, because there is a good go-to amount for that.
Yeah, David.
Yeah, so good go-to amount that I found out that you want to pack for your dog is 8 ounces of water per dog per hour of hiking. And it's always good to even pack a little bit more than that, especially if it's hotter out. You never can pack enough water. And also have a collapsible bowl to put that water in for the dog. You can always clip this on a harness that you have on the dog. That way they can pack that. That way it's not excess weight you're having to pack. And another thing would be to get like a first aid kit at Walmart. Most of those carry instant cold packs in them. And you can actually take, also they got like a triangle bandage in there, or you can pack a bandana. Wrap that ice pack up in that bandana or that triangle bandage, and place it underneath their neck or on the back of their neck to help cool that dog as well while it's under that shelter.
Yeah.
But do not put that ice pack straight on the dog's skin. It's not good. It's not good for us. It's not good for them.
You never want to use like ice cold water to cool off your dog, because that causes the blood vessels to constrict, which traps the heat inside the dog. So just like he was saying, make sure that there's some sort of barrier if you are using one of those ice packs, or you can use lukewarm water to pour on their bigger areas to help cool them off.
Yeah, we were having a discussion at a dinner at our family was having a discussion about how dogs cool themselves, and someone said they don't sweat, but they actually do have sweat glands. However, they sweat different.
They sure do.
Can you guys address that?
Yeah, they use evaporative cooling from the tongue. So when they're panting, that's how they're releasing that excess heat. And they do some minor sweating through their paw pads of their feet. So when ambient air temperature matches or exceeds the body temperature, panting loses its effectiveness. So their system for cooling is not effective. So we gotta keep an extra sharp eye out for them.
But that panting is a way of cooling.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't know how that works. But when they're going, breathing like that, they're trying to cool, their body's trying to get cool.
Yes, absolutely. And in that process, they are losing moisture from their body too. So you've really got to keep them, hydrated before you're hiking, during your hiking, and just monitor them the whole time to make sure that they're doing okay. Take breaks, turn back if you need to, those kinds of things.
That's a good one. Yeah, turn. If you feel like it's not a good idea to keep going, please turn around.
Just turn back, yeah.
A lot of people don't do that.
No, if you turn back today, that means more trails tomorrow. So
there
just,
you go.
It's not the end of the world to take a break.
Amen.
Yeah, another thing too, you could pack with you to help protect their paws. They actually have Amazon sells these. Probably some of your pet stores has them. But they're like little booties that goes on their paws. So it's like basically little shoes for the dog.
Yeah.
To help keep them from burning their feet and stuff like that. Because, imagine walking across that hot sandstone barefoot. How much that's painful. Imagine how much painful it is for your dog.
If it's really hot to your hand,
Yeah,
Can
absolutely.
you imagine what the paw feels like?
That's a good tip before you start any trail, to check the ambient temperature of the ground is putting the back of your hand on the ground for up to 5 seconds. If it's too hot, it's probably not the day to take a walk with your
Yeah.
pup. Even if the trail is shaded along, there's going to be those outcrops that are not shaded that, you might either want to avoid altogether or consider checking out a different trail or just going home and taking a nap. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. I love that idea. David, do you remember, you were telling me about a rescue where a dog in the Campton area was stuck in the mud? Do you remember this? And
Yeah.
can
Yeah,
you
I
tell
do.
us what happened and what you did?
Yeah, so we got a call. It was kind of late in the afternoon, and we got a call for a dog that was stuck out on the 746 area of Campton, Kentucky. That's called the Calaboose area, if anybody's not from this area. So basically, it was in a remote area. There's really no good road access down to it. And so we got down in there as far as we could with the vehicles. And then we, walked in the rest of the way. Once we got to the dog, it was stuck in the mud. There was like a big old, basically almost dried out water hole. And the dog had been, just struggling trying to get out of the mud. It was real soupy, sticky mud. And it just, exhausted itself. There really wasn't a whole lot of water for it there to drink, but there was a little bit. But even, that, you don't want that dog really drinking that kind of water because it carries bacteria in it, just like, we don't want to drink that water. It carries bacteria. It's bad for us. It's bad for the dog. That's why you want to give your dog, fresh water to drink out on the trail. Basically, it took us a little while because we wasn't for sure how the dog was going to react, because every time we tried to walk towards it, it would start barking and growling at us. So we weren't for sure if, it was going to try to attack or bite us. We just kept working with the dog and talking to the dog. And finally, it was able to allow us to get under it with a tarp. And we was able to get it out, get it to a vehicle, and take it back to its home where the homeowner was. Once we got back, after the dog had rested some, the dog was able to get up and walk off and be fine. So, it turned out good. Thank goodness.
I'm so grateful to have people like you on the team to take, extra care in our fur kids out there.
Yeah.
So thank you, David.
Yeah, another good thing, to have with you, and I've learned this over the past, and I've learned this from our good friend that was on the team for a while, Becky Brewer.
Mm-hmm.
She always packed around with her some dog treats to have in her pack, especially if we were doing a dog rescue. And it's a good rule of thumb to pack around with you, even if you're out just hiking for yourself and you don't have a dog. If you come up on a dog and it's kind of being frantic and really doesn't want to, you to be around it, you can kind of use that maybe as a, a barrier of friendship and get the dog to, maybe calm down a little bit and, you can get it past the dog or whatever.
Well, Red River Gorge, cliffs everywhere. I can't tell you how many times I have been, when my children were little, how many times they've scared me to death getting near the edge of a cliff, and how many times a dog owner had their dog on a cliff or an arch with no leash or no harness or anything. Can you talk about how to keep your pet safe if you're on a cliff?
Yeah, absolutely. In addition to a regular buckle collar, you're going to want to make sure that your dog has a harness on. That does a couple different things. If the dog was to slip and it's on a harness, they can't easily slip out of it. The collar, if it was just on a plain collar, could definitely strangle or damage their trachea from a hard fall. And make sure that your pet is on a leash. And not only is it for their safety, it's for other hikers' safety. Instincts often win out in dogs. A squirrel, a chipmunk, a bird, a deer, they might take off. And terrain, they just don't understand it as much as we do. So keeping your dog on a harness that is going to, make that surface area a lot greater than your collar if there is a sudden impact fall. So harness and leash is definitely recommended for out there, especially in the Red River Gorge and all the crazy terrain that's out there.
As opposed to a collar.
Correct.
which puts a lot of strain on their neck.
Absolutely, yeah.
It also puts a lot of strain on their spine as well. So, and you can't really control the balance of the dog if they're in a collar whenever they're going across those rocky terrain or uneven surfaces as much as you can if you got them in a harness as well.
Yeah. We were talking before the show, David, and you said, you might even want to try, you had a suggestion on how, if you want to look over the cliff or how to take care of your dog while you're doing that.
Yeah, so first of all, I would never approach a edge of a cliff. I would at least stay back 5 feet away from there. If the edge is rolling downhill, so like if the cliff is like downhill slope and rounds off, I would even make that greater distance. I wouldn't go even any closer than that. The rule of thumb that we use is we don't go within 10 to 15 feet without being tied off.
Yeah, but you're talking about the team. You're talking about
for our team, yeah. We don't approach the edge of a cliff without being tied off. That's just, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, you never know if you're going to slip, fall, or anything like that. So, and just like, you said, we want to make sure that we don't take our dog out to the edge of the cliff. What I would do is, if I've got it in a harness, which is the best thing, because if you got it in a collar and you tie it up to the tree, it can come out of that collar, and now your dog's coming over through there to see you, and it can knock you, and both of you are going off the, over the edge of the cliff. So I would find a tree that's good and sturdy, that's back away from the edge of the cliff. Tie the dog off there, leave it some water, and maybe even make it a makeshift shade there a little bit and let it rest, get some water. It's a good time for it to do that. Also, good time for you to take in some water and stuff, and rest, and then go over there and don't get too close to the edge. But like I said, at least 5 foot or 10 foot back from the edge, and you can see all that you need to see at that point in time, from that safe distance. Yeah. And, like I said, it's, you want to make sure that you take care of yourself so you can take care of your dog, because your dog can't take care of itself. It has to have you to take care of it. So
if the worst were to happen and your dog went over the cliff, I think our immediate reaction is go after the animal. And Jen, what should we do?
Always call 911 immediately and first. I know that our natural instinct is to scramble down after our pup, but loose sandstone can crumble instantly, and human self-rescues frequently turn into double rescue situations where the owner then falls and gets injured alongside his or her pet. So let specialized technical rope rescue teams like Wolfe County handle the steep angle rescues when possible. So definitely call for help first. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And stay calm. If you're calm, then hopefully that energy will be picked up by your pet to help them keep calm while you're waiting for help.
Yeah. Dogs overheat faster, right? Than we do. Why is that?
There's a couple different reasons. They are inherently closer to the ground, which means they absorb intense radiant heat rising directly from those baked stones and dirt paths. They also have a significantly higher baseline temperature that's around 101 to 102.5. So they're already starting out hotter than us. And they, again, possess that really inefficient way of cooling themselves, which is, through panting and a little bit through the sweating of their paw pads. So.
As you said earlier, if it's 95 outside for us,
maybe
that's a good couch day for your animal.
Absolutely, yeah. Any time it's over 80 degrees, 85 degrees, I'm going to be really, really, thoughtful about if I'm going out at all and if I'm bringing my pet and what trails I'm going on and the duration of the trails that I'm going on. Pick shaded trails with water access for cooling quickly.
One thing, David, you talked about reminded me how our dogs, when they see something in the wild, they just want to go after it. And when you told me that, I was thinking about a time at the Kentucky River when our beloved little Shih Tzu saw some ducks in the middle of the river and took off. I don't know what he was doing, but he was in the middle of the Kentucky River. My wife went after him in a kayak. So can you talk about that? I mean, their instinct is to go after things, and what do we do about it?
Yeah, their natural instinct is to, take off after anything they see, chase it. So, the way that we can kind of avoid that and take care of that in the woods would be to know your to know your dog's behavior. Um, and I
And
mean,
your child.
Yeah,
they
and
are,
your child.
yeah,
It goes hand in hand.
a dog is our child. I mean,
Yeah.
they are just like a child.
Ours is our
Um,
first grandchild.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, just know their behavior before you go out. And, there is ways that you can train your dog. I mean, the police and the military do it all the time. There are ways to train your dog to not, chase after that wild animal or anything like that. You know, and I mean, hey, have treats, there. That's as a
Yeah.
reward.
Yeah, it's a great
You
idea.
know, teach them how to, stay put whenever you stay put and give them a treat. Um, so just knowing that behavior in advance can prevent a lot of problems out there.
One thing I wondered about, are there any rules at Natural Bridge or in the gorge about having your animal on a leash, or what? Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so Natural Bridge actually they state that that dogs are not allowed in the park. The only trail that they are allowed on, well, sorry, they're allowed in the park. They're just not allowed on the trails. Um, the only trail that they are allowed on is the Wilton Branch Trail. And that's because of the ecosystems that's are
Mm.
out there in the natural bridge. They don't want a dog getting off trail and trampling on the ecosystems, which can destroy the ecosystems.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, as far as the gorge itself, there is no requirement other than the only thing I could find was that they do require it if you are in a campground or if you are in the like at trailheads and stuff like that in the parking lot, just to kind of help keep your dog from trying to go after somebody or attack somebody or go
Yeah.
after another dog or whatever. So you
Yeah.
got
Or
better
if,
control over it.
or if you're on a cliff, it's really for the animal's welfare, not
Yes.
for any other reason.
Yeah. Common courtesy is to have your dog, leashed, and a good rule of thumb is a static 6-foot leash instead of a retractable leash, which you don't really have any control over. So when you're out on the trails, please have your dog on a leash. It's for their safety and the enjoyment of everybody.
Yeah. With all your years of animal welfare, 20 plus years?
Yeah.
It's a-
23 years in animal welfare.
I wondered
professionally.
how you knew all this information,
Learned a
but
lot along the way for sure.
if if a dog needs to be transported, do you have a recommended way like they can't go anywhere? They're dehydrated, they're in trouble. How do you get them to safety?
Well, if you can call for help, then maybe somebody can meet you partial way on the trail. But when you're carrying a dog, if it's small, you can carry it on your front side, carrying it. But you really want to be mindful of their breathing pathways. So making sure that you're cradling that head and neck is really, really important, especially to a dog that's like in and out of consciousness maybe or struggling to breathe. Protect that airway as much as you can. If you can bring something along in your pack that can act as a sling for a larger dog, like a small, blanket or towel or something like that you can pack in your day bag, and just use that as a sling to carry them until help gets to you.
We had one last year where Brian and I can't remember who else, they created a sling and one person was on the front and one was on the other side and they were able to get the dog out to safety.
That's amazing. Yeah.
So if you have to, you could do that.
Absolutely, yeah. If it's within your means physically to be able to carry that pet, start heading, and where you're going. Start heading
Yeah.
back to the trailhead for sure.
Yeah.
And you can make a sling out of a raincoat even depending on the size of your dog. So just think outside the box a little bit. But if you are going somewhere and it is a little bit warmer, go ahead and pack something that can be utilized as a sling later.
This has never happened to us, but I think about bees. I think about venomous snakes. Could either one of you talk about bees and snakes? What have you ever seen a dog get bitten by a snake?
Well, I mean, I've been out on the trail before. I've dealt with ground bees, and we were actually on that rescue. We had set up the rescue, and we were getting ready to bring the people back up the cliff. And of course, the ground bees, they don't start coming back into their nest until when it gets dark. Um, and we just had realized at that point in time that we had built right straight over their nest. And as I was running the line back down to help pull the person up the cliff, I came across that nest and got stung several times.
Oh, wow.
Of course, there's nothing we can do except for get stung because we can't move the system. We got a personnel that's on the line.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so,
were they hornets or bees?
They were yellow jackets, is what they were.
Okay.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
They were
Chief
nice and
May
vicious. Nice and vicious.
gosh.
There.
I think Chief May said they were big enough to require an FAA license.
These are definitely not very friendly. I couldn't really see them because it was really dark out. My headlamp wasn't getting them, but I just I knew I was getting stung several times, and then a few other people got stung. It was not a pleasant thing to have happen. So yeah, main thing is just keep your dog on trail. That's where that harness
Yeah,
and
yeah.
leash comes into play there. And is to keep help keep them on the trail because those ground bees and stuff like that are normally building off the trail. They're not going to be out there on the trail where the hard ground is. They want to be out there where it's soft ground, be able to dig down in there and build their nest. For venomous snakes, you want to. That's another thing. The harness and the leash can help because you'll be able to control your dog on him not to go after the snake and get bit. You can keep him back from it. And even that harness can help you pack that dog out if it was to get bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another thing, when we was talking about carrying them, another way is what they call the fireman's carry. For your medium size and large size dogs, you want to be able to carry them across your shoulder with the weight evenly displayed across there so their spine is supported good. Another thing with that is you want to make sure you're taking frequent stops because you're packing extra weight, because you're packing the dog out. So you want to make sure you're stopping, taking plenty of water in, and getting that dog plenty of water as you go, and help mainly keep that dog calm. Anytime they get stung or get bit, the main thing is to keep them calm.
Yeah, one thing we have dealt with is, and they're really bad this year, is ticks. And we have taken ticks off our dog. Jenn, what's the right way to do it? And how do you handle that?
I love talking about ticks because I hate them so much. But really, prevention is key. If you could talk to your veterinarian about the best option of preventatives for your pet, that would be great. Veterinarians also offer a Lyme vaccination and make sure.
So a dog can get Lyme disease.
Absolutely, yep. And it's preventable because you can get a vaccine for it. So be sure to talk to your vet about that. When you are out on the trails, check your pets as you're hiking as soon as possible to remove any that manage to grab a ride. Because the sooner you get it off, the less likely it is for them to be able to transmit diseases. I use something called a tick key on my dogs.
Yeah, I bought one because of you.
Yeah, it's got a interesting shape in the middle of it, which helps you, just put it right over the tick and pull it off. Way it ensures it gets the head out of where they bit as well. So they're super cheap and lightweight. I clip it on my dog's collar when we're hiking, so I know exactly where it is. I don't have, it doesn't get lost in a pocket on my day pack, so that I can remove it quickly and properly, because it's really important to get it off, that head out as well. And then when you get home, if you did have to pull any ticks off, make sure that you're washing that area with just some mild soap and warm water, because just like us, we want to make sure that to keep infection away, just give it a good little wash. So
I think I've done every single wrong way. I think I've done the Vaseline, the pinching them with my fingers, the matchstick, and there's probably more that I'm not thinking of. Why is that a bad idea?
If the head stays in, then it can continue to release any of those potential, disease. It can continue to transmit disease, essentially. So if you just pull it off, with your fingers, you might squish the body, but it's not actually getting the whole thing out. So what a tick key or something similar like that is pressurizing the body down and then kind of forcing the head out as well. So, and it's really important to check in all the nooks and crannies of your pets, because ticks like to hide everywhere, and even down in the ear canal, behind collars, under harnesses, armpits, groin area. between the toes and the paw pads. Ticks are nasty little creatures, and
Yeah,
they will find a way.
Little bloodsuckers.
Yes, exactly. And there's 4 common ticks in Kentucky, and they all carry different types of diseases. Most of them we don't want ourselves to get, so keeping them off of us while we're hiking is also really important. There's several things that you can do for that, but when it comes to your pets, prevention, talk to your veterinarian, get yourself something like a tick key to get the ticks off properly.
And isn't it, if you have tweezers, which is okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's the key thing to get them to release correctly?
You just want to get as close to the skin as possible where the head is and do slow, low pressure to pull back.
Yeah, don't just...
Yeah, don't squish it.
And do they usually let go if you just gently get close to the skin?
That's, you're going to have higher success getting it out properly. I wouldn't say it's always going to be, but, and also there are people out there that have trained themselves to be able to pick ticks because they've done it so well. So I'm not saying that you can't do it with your fingers. I'm just saying that is not what I'm going to recommend because it's gross.
Yeah, one of our team members had an incredible number of ticks that got on them recently, and I couldn't believe it. But they've been really bad.
Yeah, they have been really bad. And it's just the nature of the beast. When you're out in the wilderness, you're gonna face all sorts of different insects and critters. So be careful, know what you're up against, and if there's preventative measures to be taken, do it.
So we're almost out of time. I wonder if there's a particular rescue that really emotionally clicked with you. The one recently, for me, I think was really moving. Is there one that comes to mind for either one of you?
For me, it was definitely the Rottweiler. Just because of how grateful the owner was, how incredible at being calm and patient he was, because he knew that his dog was struggling. So there was definitely like high risk, but everything came out really well. So it was just really nice to see him trust our team to take care of his pet while she was in distress. So it was pretty great.
David?
Yeah, like Jen said, it's always great to see those good outcomes and see the owner's reaction when we do get their pet back safe to them. I would say the one that kind of sticks out to me is we have one that had fell off of around the Frog's Head area and off the cliff. I wasn't actually on this one. I just remember, the team talking about it and stuff like that. But, just the owner's reaction and, his thankfulness for the team and, what we've done, that just, it's heartwarming. It just makes us remember, why we're there and what we're there, doing and what our motto says, and so, it says so others may live as well as, pets and, our dogs and stuff. So, that's what we're there for. We're not there for, the fame or the glory or any of that. We're there to, help, families reunite with each other and as well as their pets reunite and, come, have a happy outcome, hopefully at the end.
Well, guys, I've asked a lot of questions. What haven't I asked that you might want to comment upon before we close out?
I think my final thoughts are really just if it feels hot to you, it could be downright dangerous for your dog. So really check the weather conditions, including that relative humidity, respect leash rules and be considerate. Make sure that you keep your pup on a harness and leash. Pick trails with lots and lots of shade and access to water, and take time to condition your dog for outdoor activities, just like we need to condition our own bodies. David mentioned earlier, I think it was Whittleton Trail.
Mm-hmm.
I think I actually took my dog on that trail yesterday. It was amazing. It is really shaded. There's, she was able to walk in the creek and cool off her little feeties, so that was actually a really great trail.
I don't know how many degrees cooler, but it's much cooler than an open trail on a ridge.
Yeah, that trail there, it stays, shady pretty well down through there, in that area because it is in a valley. So a lot of tree cover down in there. And they are the creeks, different creeks down there that runs through that area that you can cool your dog in. So it is a good trail. One thing I would say would be, always be prepared. Preparedness is the best key and the best thing that you can do before you go out. Always prepared. know where you're going, know if you or your dog can handle that. If your dog can't, if your dog's a house dog and you're taking it out for the first time on a trail, probably, I would say not a, you know, hour trail or 2 hour trail probably would not be good,
Yeah. Yeah.
to start out with. I would start out with something smaller, something that's not strenuous. I mean, maybe even start out with like Sky Bridge, for instance. It's not a very, it's not a very strenuous trail. I would have it on harness because of it being the Sky Bridge. There that you got all that cliff lying around, but it'd be a good one to start out on with your dog, or even chimney top. Out that way.
Yeah. Your dog relies entirely on your judgment to keep them safe. So just remember that when you're outside.
Great point. Great point. Well, guys, great session. I really enjoyed what you've shared with us today, and maybe we will help somebody keep their beloved dog safe this
Hope
summer.
so.
So thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having us.